This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I am your host, Mark. And today's guest is just a badass. I'm so excited about this one that I don't even want to do too long of an intro. I just want her to tell her story. Welcome Wendy Rae Fowler to the show. She's got such an interesting story. She plays bass for Humanist in addition to her own music, but her first love was dance. She talks about all her creative endeavors, from dance to acting to bass and more. She collaborated with Queens of the Stone Age, Earthlings, Mark Lanegan, and that collaboration included a wedding and a whole lot more. She reveals the one project she'll never get over, who Katie Cruel is, and how she wrote an ambient film soundtrack. She tells the story of how she started playing with Rob Marshall and Humanist, and how the music transformed once it was played live. And honestly, I could listen to her talk for hours. She's wonderful, and I want to take a second and thank Rob Marshall from Humanist for the introduction. Go to WendyRaeFowlerOfficial.com for more information. She's active on Instagram at Wendy Rae Fowler. Her music is also available on Bandcamp, and keep an eye open for some new releases. Follow us at Performance ANX. Grab merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. Just send money to ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. And let's get right into the story with Wendy Rae Fowler on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Tell me again, tell me what it is. What do I say? Okay. So this is Wendy Rae Fowler, and you're listening to Performing Anxiety Podcast, yeah? Performance Anxiety. Oh, I told you my brain was fucked. Okay, ready? Here I go. This is Wendy Rae Fowler, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast with more.She. Is that okay? Okay, so the deal is that I've got 3 dogs here, okay. And everyone's had a walk, so they should be okay, but I might have to stop from time to time and say, settle them down or something. I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
No problem. I've dealt with worse.
Okay. Okay, good.
I've got my own tour in another room with my wife and the kids and all, so they're taking care of it. So, of them.
What have you got?
We've got 2 mutts. One is my dog. One is my daughter's dog that we're watching because she's not allowed to have dogs at her apartment right now. So ours his name is Hammond, named after Richard Hammond from Top Gear. And he is a boxer Australian Shepherd mix.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, he's adorable. I'll send you a photo after this. He's just the most handsome little guy. Well, not little guy. He's a big. He's like 80 something pounds, and he's a rescue. And then the other he's another rescue that my daughter found, and we're not really sure what he is. He's the sweetest guy. I mean, he looks kind of like a lab pit mix.
Okay.
But we're not 100% sure, but he's the sweetest dog. All he wants to do is lick people.
Yeah.
That's it. If he could just do that for his entire life, he'd be the happiest dog on the planet.
Sounds like a good one.
But yeah, his name's Albert.
Okay.
So
Albert, what's the other one's name?
Hammond
and Albert. I like it.
So it unintentionally ended up with Albert Hammond as our 2 dogs. So there's a musical connection for those digging deep into that stuff. Yeah, and Hammond's about 10, and then Albert my daughter just had for a few years. So it was just happenstance that his name was Albert and we had Hammond. So
I love that.
So, yeah. And Albert's about 65 pounds. So we got a couple of bigger boys roaming around.
Yeah.
But he's adorable. He's just basically a tuxedo. He's black. He's got a white on his chest, but he's got the darkest brown eyes. They look almost black. So he's hilarious. He'll look at you and you're like, there is absolutely nothing going on. Yeah. Are these your dogs? You said, or are you dog sitting or?
I have one dog, and he's a puggle, like a pug and beagle cross.
Yeah.
But I do everything with dogs. I'm a dog trainer first.
Oh, wow.
But I end up looking after my clients' dogs. And then during the pandemic, I kind of ended up walking and doing all sorts of things like that as well, because I couldn't go into people's houses to do dog training, and that's where it starts. So there were people who were still working from home that wanted dog walks, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do anything to, just to keep it all going. And so I started doing that, and I took a little break from it at one point a couple of years ago when I moved to another location, but I've pretty much been doing it ever since. And it's kind of the thing that keeps me, it's the only kind of regular income that I have. And I also like dogs a lot, and I like spending my time doing things that I like to do if I can. So yeah, that's kind of, I'd say it's my side hustle, but actually it's my main hustle these days.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it used to be the other way around. Things through the years change. Sometimes I'm doing more music and sometimes I'm doing more dogs. But the last couple of years, I've just been doing kind of equal amounts of humanist and dogs. I kind of stopped doing my stuff for a while. I had a point that I needed to stop, and I needed to not do it. And then Humanist came along, and it was a chance to play live. So I started doing that. But it's now time to start finishing some of my own things. And I'm struggling to strike a balance between the day job type thing, if you will, and the music stuff, because I have to do dogs pretty much 24/7 to make it work.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of energy. So
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, our dogs aren't trained very well, and they're a lot. I can't even, I'm not a dog trainer. I will admit that right now. But since they're both your own businesses, it's like running two companies. You're trying to.
Well, yeah, I also I've got a record label, which I started as well, which is it's just completely dormant right now because I'm like, I can't. I need help, but it's a tricky situation. I'll figure it out in the end, hopefully. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
So before we get into the nitty gritty or diving too deep, I do want to thank Rob for the introduction, Rob Marshall, and for bullying you into doing this for me. So thank you, Rob. So we met while you guys were on tour. So it was Humanist's first tour of the U.S., which it kind of blows my mind that it's taken this long for Humanist to get over to the U.S. I understand it. It's an expensive proposition to bring a band over from the U.K., but he's put out 2 incredible albums, and for it to have taken this long for somebody to pick him up and be like, hey, let's tour for a while. And the shows just blew me away, and I was just so grateful to Pete and Leah and Rob Ben for picking you guys up and bringing you over, and for Rob for helping set everything up. I mean, I got a chance to shoot both shows, and it was just such an incredible experience, and it really was, I hate to use the term life-changing, but it was definitely very impactful on me. It was, I do a lot of concert photography in the Washington, D.C. area, and I just felt a little different shooting for you guys, and for it was the second and third times I've been able to shoot for BRMC, so it was incredible. So my thanks to everybody involved in the tour and bringing you guys over. But we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. But you're not originally from the UK. You're actually born in Virginia, which is where I'm at right now.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Whereabouts in Virginia are you from?
I was born in Chesapeake. Sorry, that's not true, actually.
Oh, starting off right.
I was born in Portsmouth.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm up in Winchester. So.
Okay. Yeah, I've lived in a lot of different places on the southeast coast, so it took me a second. And I've lived in a few different places in Virginia as well. But yeah, I was born in Portsmouth. That's what they tell me anyway.
I understand that. I was born in Killeen, Texas, but I don't remember it, so I have to kind of go with my dad and my mom on that one. So one of the amazing things is you eventually moved to the UK, and we'll get to that, but your accent is so amazing. I can hear the UK in there, but I also hear the Southern US in it. I've never heard anything like your accent, and it fascinates me. I love it.
I've lived in the UK for 18 years.
That would be why.
Yeah. I mean, I lived all up and down the southeast coast of America when I was younger. So Southern accents, different variations. Then I lived in LA for 14 years before I moved to England. And I've now been in England for 18 years. So I guess it's kind of impossible not to be affected by the accent here. I did have to change a few of my habits.
Oh, really?
So that people could understand me when I moved here, because I had such a strong Southern accent. But I don't consider that I have that English twang. But people tell me that I do, so I must.
It's funny. It's certain words sound Southern, other words sound British. It's fascinating. It's almost like you're weaving in and out just naturally.
Well,
I think doing voiceovers, you would do incredible voiceover stuff.
I did try to actually get into that as a side hustle, but I got discouraged quite quickly when I got turned down a couple of times. I made like a voiceover reel, and I tried to speak with just a basic American accent, get rid of my Southern accent. I'm sure I didn't do that entirely, but as a musician, you're always looking for other ways to make money. And I thought, let me try this. And I think I might have submitted my reel to a couple of agencies and didn't hear back. So I went, okay, it's not happening. But
I understand that.
You know what? A lot of people mistake me for being Australian right off the bat.
Oh.
And I've thought about it, and actually Australian accents sound a lot like an English accent meets a Southern American accent. Yeah. If you really listen, you can, that happens a lot. In fact, when I lived in California, that a lot of people would say, "Are you Australian?" Even probably had never heard true Southern accents before in that area. I don't know. But anyway, so yes, I know. I heard before I moved to England, I saw Madonna on an interview after she'd been living here for a while.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh gosh, she's picked up that accent. I don't know if that's a very becoming. Now everybody's asking me about mine, and I don't know. I guess not much I can do about it. I'm not really trying to speak with a English accent, but it's just happening. And you know what? A lot of people, sometimes people who aren't Southern, after spending a little bit of time with me, they'll end up picking up little bits of my accent and catching themselves. It's just contagious, I guess. Accents can be contagious.
Oh, for sure. It's
really interesting, too. Now, being in a band with a couple of Northerners, I'm really fascinated by their accents. Rob and Scott are from two different areas, really different accents. And I love kind of studying their accents. So I'm sure that's probably going to end up coming out at some point, too. Anyway, yeah.
And then you had Jimmy from New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get into Humanist too deeply, I do want to find out about how all of this came about, how music became so important to you, because I did discover that music wasn't your first love. It wasn't the first creative endeavor you got involved in. But was it important growing up? I mean, was there music playing in the house? Because music did play a part because you were a dancer for quite a while. And so I'm assuming there was a lot of music in the house to dance to sing along with. Yes.
Music definitely was my first love, but I think the forms of expression changed throughout the years. I just kind of I've thought about this because I've done a lot of different things creatively. I think I just jumped onto what form of expression that was available to me or whatever. In terms of early stuff, I remember my mom playing music a lot, and my mom liked to party. So there was always some socializing going on around the house and music being played. And as a really small child, she would command me to dance for everyone.
Oh, wow.
So, there were all sorts of things like the Eagles. I remember she loved to put on Witchy Woman and make me dance for everyone. And then there was other things like country music, a lot of country music. My mom loved Patsy Cline. She loved, from Winchester. From Winchester.
Patsy's from Winchester.
Yeah. I love Patsy Cline. Listening to her made me feel like singing. And I sang along. Me and my mom sang along a lot. So she was probably one of my first teachers in terms of singing. But anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of music. There was a lot of country music, old country. So that was how I kind of got into expression of creativity, I suppose, why the dance thing happened for me.
Yeah, you even won a scholarship to study dance.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and I started dancing. I started taking classes when I was young, and eventually I started helping the teacher assist and things like that. And I loved it. It's probably about the rhythm. The rhythm is what I like to get into. So, yeah, I did. I just ended up, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and there was not much to do. I think, I had a lot of bumps in life from the very get-go, and finding something to, a form of escapism really early was probably a little bit of a lifesaver for me. And so and that's what it was. It was dance. And then, eventually, as a young person in school, I was raised in a Christian community as well, and I had to go to church, and I wasn't particularly fond of it, but I liked the singing, and eventually I joined the choir, and that was a new thing that I was opened up to, and I loved singing. I loved singing in a group where there were melodies, and I loved learn how to read music that way. And then I started singing in school too, so I took piano lessons when I just jumped on one sort of creative vehicle from one to another, trying different things, and just happened kind of naturally. And so, yeah, that's how the dance thing started, and then it moved on to music.
So you won the scholarship. Is that, I mean, we considering dance as like a career? A career.
Yeah. So my parents wanted me to pursue academics. I did not. I wanted to be creative. I mean, I was working. So in the end of my high school years, I had a job at a hair salon, and I think I'd been working there for a couple of years, and I really liked that. It was creative. Yeah. But I was also taking serious dance classes outside of school. And I had a good teacher at the time. This is the end. This is like the last. Hey, stop. 1 second. 1 second, Mark. Sure. Doodle, stop. Can I pause for a second?
Of course.
Okay, 1 sec.
Sure.
Oh, go on in. Stay there. I'm so sorry, Mark.
No, not
Banjo,
at all.
Come on, Banjo. I've got one dog that's I look after, that's really, he guards everything. That's an interesting story, but we can talk about that later. But anyway, I have to kind of look out for the other dogs. I'm so sorry.
No, not to worry. That's part of the whole thing. Not to worry at all.
Doodle. So anyway, back to, I was saying that, off. Get off. Sorry. Good boy.
No
you stay there. This is my life. Multitasking all the time. Right. So in the last year or two of high school, I was going to high school. I was actually doing art classes, which I loved. I only got into that like the last year of school. Okay. I was working in a hair salon as my job, and I was also taking dance classes. And my parents were like, you're going to go to school. You're going to go to university now, whatever. And I just was like, oh, don't want to. I wanted to pursue dancing at the time. And I ended up saying to them, all right, let's strike a deal. I'm going to go to school for hairdressing, because I already knew about it and I liked it. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I'll just keep dancing on the side. They don't need to know. It'll be all right, And they weren't too happy about the hairdressing thing, but they were like, okay, fine. So I went to the school where the college where I was going to learn hairdressing, and I walked through the section that was whatever the hairdressing wing, and I was like, I'm not doing this. It looked like it was actually quite cool now in hindsight, but it looked like a scene from a 1950s movie, and this was. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. So they were like, yes, she's going to school for academics. So I started doing that, and I did really well in my first year. But I also found this brilliant teacher from up north that had come down south to look after his mother or something. And he started teaching classes in a studio nearby. So I was doing that at night, and I absolutely loved it. And he was like pushing me, and he asked me to come and compete at this in a bigger city, and come and be a part of his group and compete. And I did, and it was with a group from Los Angeles that had this performing arts center.
Oh wow!
So I competed for him in that, but I also ended up auditioning for a 2-week scholarship with them. While I was there, I got that. I went out for the 2 weeks, and I scheduled my 2-week scholarship so that the last day I was there, I would audition for the big program that they had.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up getting that. So
wow.
So that is how that was a really long-winded thing to sorry.
No.
That's how I ended up doing the scholarship. And for me, I mean, I was just like, it was. The gates opened up because I felt really, like I said, I was a small town in North Carolina out in the middle of nowhere. And I had a big mind and a big creative sort of ideas, and I'd had no idea what to do with any of it. So this was just so exciting for me, to get to go and do something like that. So I did. That's what moved me at the age of 19 from North Carolina to Los Angeles, that scholarship.
So were you studying any specific type of dance?
All forms.
Okay.
And we also had classes in acting, singing. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like Fame, that TV show.
Oh, yeah. I remember that for sure.
It was a lot like that.
Okay. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was. I'm so fortunate to have, had that opportunity. And also I was the least trained of all of the other people who I saw audition. And I just thought, how is this even possible? But, they must have, there was something that they appreciated about me and invited me to be, because it was a very select group. Loads of people from all over the world would come and audition for this thing every year. So yeah, that was a major life changer, big deal for me.
So when you got to LA, were you like, this is where I need to be? Or were you was it kind of like, oh my God, what am I doing?
A little bit of both, because so when I was a kid, I used to watch these Sunday matinees with my grandparents, and it was always these old black and white, Fred and Ginger black and white movies, really old. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That, Another thing I forgot to mention is that somehow out in the middle of nowhere out there, I found this teacher that was an old Rockette.
Oh,
Do you remember the Rockettes? Yeah, from Radio City Music Hall Rockettes. She taught tap dancing. It was incredible. So I had all of these really older kind of influences, and that's what I wanted to do. And I thought, I'll go out and find that. And so when I got there, it was like, time has moved on. So, but my eyes were open to a lot of things once I got there. And I was really loving it, really happy. It was hard work. The scholarship was pretty much full time, and I also had a full-time job. Oh, wow. So I was doing, I was working at a diner called Johnny Rockets.
I know the Johnny Rockets. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I loved it. And it was the beginning of, a lot of other cool things to come.
Which one of those is music? Is that around the same time that you picked up a guitar, or did that happen afterwards?
It's very, very soon after. I was singing all through high school. I was in the school choir and things like that, and I loved it. I played a tiny, tiny bit of piano. I had piano lessons when I was really young. The teacher was horrifying, so
oh, no.
I quit.
Oh, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
That's awful piano teachers.
Yeah. This one was scary. I'll never forget her and her face and how she was. But anyway, anyway, so I did a little bit of tinkering there all through school, and I loved singing, but I never thought for a second that I would pursue that because I didn't think my voice was interesting. I just loved it. And I ended up picking up a guitar when I was about 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was basically, oh gosh, I'm going to have to start learning how to condense things a little bit better. But I got my first boyfriend at 22.
Oh, wow.
First relationship.
Okay.
And
that big year for you.
He was a musician.
Okay.
And I just picked up his guitar one day and was instantly just kind of into it. And I started picking things out and making songs immediately. And then I ended up getting a guitar, and then I secretly played it for, I don't know, maybe 2 years or something. And I ended up starting writing songs, and I had a 4-track, and I got an electric guitar, and I got an amp, and I was just making my songs in my room on my 4-track, and still not thinking not considering for a second that I would pursue that. No way. I just
okay.
I loved it. I just loved it. And once I'd lay down one track, another one was here, and it was coming, and I couldn't get it out fast enough, and then another and another. So it was like, and I love to sing, but I wasn't a fan of my voice. There's a lot of female singers I love, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the music that I was getting into at that time, it was like male-led bands.
Okay.
So I couldn't sing like that, and it's not what I wanted to hear. So I just thought, well, I'll just do this in my room. I'm happy to do this, I've got other things I can do. So I did that until I got an invitation to be in the Earthlings by Pete Stahl.
Right.
Who was at the time, he was my friend's boyfriend and my roommate's boyfriend. And he heard outside the door me playing all the time. And they had a bassist, but they wanted a second bassist.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I got the invitation, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to play bass. And he's like, yes, you can do it. I said, I don't have a bass. He said, I've heard you play guitar, you can definitely play these parts. So he lent me a bass, and I sat down with him, and I was like, this is fun. Yes. And then I went to the first rehearsal, and that was it was that point that I thought, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I felt for the first time, even though dancing made me feel better, I'd done a bit of acting by then because I'd fallen into some acting jobs when I was dancing, and I liked that all right. It was nerve-wracking, but the first rehearsal for the Earthlings was the point at which I thought, that's it. This is it. I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the first time in my life I've ever felt right. That's the most perfect word I can think of for my feelings when I had that rehearsal. I felt right. And that's how I feel every time I'm playing, I'm writing, I'm at my computer, I'm on stage. And that's the only time I ever feel right, to be honest. So
we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. And
yeah.
So you're playing bass at this point. Do you think you came to that a little more naturally because of the background in dance? Because it's about, listening to rhythms and yeah.
I think so. I think that's, if P had asked me to play guitar, I would have, but I'm glad he asked me to play bass because it's a different thing. And
yeah.
It's I don't know, maybe I think it must be kind of meditative when you can be part of the groove. And I think that's a good thing for me, to be able to zone out in that way. That's probably what it was about dancing that made me feel good. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is about playing bass in bands that I really like as well.
Yeah, and maybe one reason why acting was you're just kind of like lukewarm on it, because you can't really zone out and just kind of feel. You got to know your lines, you got to know your blocking, you got to know all this. Some of it's feeling all, but I don't know. It just seems to me like dance and bass would go together more than acting. And bass. I don't know. I'm trying to make something work, and I don't think it's working.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. With the dancing and the bass, you zone out.
Yeah.
There's a repetitive
hypnotic
repetition. Yes, it's hypnotic. That's what it is that I love about music, or at least a lot of the music that I love and the kind of music I like to make is the quality of being hypnotic.
Yes.
And I do think it must be sort of just meditative, because it seems to calm me down and make me feel better. And I hear that from a lot of other people too, about their love of music,
Oh yeah. I'm right up there with you. I don't play, but if I flip this around, you'll see my wall of like 3,500 CDs or so. But I'm a huge listener, and I've attempted to play guitar. I'm not very good at it. I do enjoy making noise, but again, it's something that I don't think about. I could just play, and if my guitar starts to feed back, I actually like it. So,
yeah.
But Earthlings. So how long did that last? Did anything ever get released that you were on? Because I was trying to find things. It's not easy.
No, nothing was released that I played on, sadly. And I could be wrong, but there were 2 songs that I wrote that I showed to Pete from the Earthlings. He's like, let's do these, let's record these. And I know we recorded them in a session. And I can't remember if I know there were 2 that I played on and that I wrote, but they were never released. And actually, I've recently asked those guys about those songs. I'd love to. I never even heard the finished product, because before they were finished, I'd stopped playing in the band. So, but that would be awesome if I could hear those again, and maybe possibly even if they were released somehow. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, even if it's something that they would let you release on your label or something, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be ideal. That would be brilliant. But I've asked, and there seemed to be they were open to it, but I kind of haven't gone anywhere with it since, and I've just been so busy. Yeah, that was really fun. The recording. That was the first time I recorded in the studio, was with those guys, and obviously I was still very young, but they were great. I had so much fun. It was such a great experience being in that band. I am so lucky. Lucky to have done that. And I had no idea at the time what I was stepping into. The people, the players, every single one, seasoned, really incredible players and human beings. And the project was cool beyond anything I'd ever seen. And I had no idea. I look back on it and go, whoa. I can't believe I was a part of that. God, it was great. It was great. Anyway.
I love hearing that, because, not every guest has that experience, where they're like, it was amazing. You hear a lot of, first time in the studio was horrible, especially if it's not their own band. It was grueling. It was as if we did this over and over and over again. So to hear that it was a good experience for you, is great. I love hearing that kind of thing.
Yeah, those guys were so positive, encouraging. It was such a positive experience. There was, I couldn't have happened into a better situation for someone who was so apprehensive or underconfident with music skills or whatever, because it was like anything I did was acceptable by them, and they thought it was cool, So
that's great.
It was a dream come true, really, because I really was super underconfident in that department. I didn't like my voice. I felt very nervous, I was extremely nervous live. I still am nervous, very nervous all these years later. It's never going to go away. But I think that's part of the magic. That's part of the magic. But I mean, I think on my first show, I didn't turn around for a few songs. When my first proper club show with the Earthlings. So anyway, they were just, I just can't say enough how grateful and I am for that experience and how lucky I was to have been included in that group.
So how did it end? Or why did it end?
Yeah. So basically, we did a fair amount of touring immediately, and then there was a break, and I was going through a rough time in that break. I didn't have a home. I was sleeping on sofas.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was really struggling financially. I was doing acting. I was kind of like starting to do commercials and things like that to make money. It was a weird transitional point or something. And it was time to go on tour again. And basically, also, as a side note, the last touring that we did, there were some things going on with the main three guys in the band that were I found kind of triggering. There was a lot of drinking and things like that going on, and there was a lot of arguing, and it was weird because other than that, the whole thing was quite positive, and I didn't really know what was going on between those guys, but they were all lovely people, and I loved them. And they'd go in a room and there'd be arguing, and then it would be awkward for a while. And then everybody would start drinking, and then it'd be a great night. And it would start over the next night when we were on tour.
Wow.
And I was a youngster. They were all a lot older than me, but I found it kind of triggering. So when it was time to go on tour again, something else came up, which was the Gap. I got a job. It was like a commercial or two or something like that for the Gap.
Oh, okay.
And as I said, I was sleeping on sofas. So it was like, okay, wow, this is helpful. And then the next tour came along, and I had to choose one. And it was extremely difficult. But I think the fact that just because of all the surrounding circumstances, which I just described, I chose to stay and do the commercials. Yeah. And that didn't go down very well with the band, and I can understand why. And there's part of me that's heartbroken in hindsight about it. But also, I don't know, life happens as it happens, and we make the best choices that we can. And at the time, I really needed a job because music wasn't paying my bills at all, nor is it now. But but I had to do what I had to do. And I had a dog at the time, and I was separated from my dog because I didn't have a home. I'd sent my dog to live with a friend who had a better situation whilst I got my stuff together and tried to bring in enough money to get a new place to live and all that. So I took the Gap job, and like I said, that was the end of me and the Earthlings, sadly. Yeah. I think that's when they found Molly to replace me, and they carried on. And I then just started working nonstop, doing acting jobs and getting myself into a better financial position and things like that. And so, yeah, that was the end of the Earthlings for me. Oh,
okay. So at this point, you're focusing a little more on acting. Were you still writing and playing music?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I started playing. I was meeting people all the while, and there's a guy called Charlie Wadhams who's a musician that lives in L.A. I met him. He was a boyfriend of a friend of mine. We started playing together. Okay. We formed a band. We called it More. He's great. We used to play out around town. So I did that. Okay. But I just never thought of making music my main focus. Wow, I just thought I was like, I'll keep doing this as much as I possibly can because I love it. Yeah. But I never thought of myself. I didn't think I was good enough or interesting enough to make that my main focus. But since I loved it, if anyone wanted to do it with me, I was like, yes, let's do it. So I kept playing around town with various people, bands and things like that. There was a bit of a tug of war for me in terms of like what was going on in my life with acting and music at this point.
Sure.
But because I just wanted to do music all the time, and I was writing my own songs, still had my 4-track, wasn't using a computer at the time. And the jobs were coming in like that. I was making money for the first time in my life. I was making good money. So that was happening for me for a while.
Okay. So was it through your connections with Earthlings that you ended up making a connection with Queens of the Stone Age? And
Yeah. So that's also obviously another piece of puzzle.
Yeah.
So when I got into the Earthlings, we immediately started touring with Queens, opening for Queens.
Wow. But this was for their first album, right?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So
yes.
They hadn't quite exploded.
That's right. And it was a good time. It was like it was great. It was like we've just all formed this big family, and there weren't hit records or anything like that at the time. It was just good times, good people, good music. Then basically, even though I didn't play with Earthlings anymore, the Queens guys called and asked if I wanted to do some vocals on Rated R. Yeah. And I was like, sure, and I was in a good place at the time. I think I'd gotten myself a home, and I was working, making money, and playing music on the side, doing my own little thing on the side or whatever, playing around town with Charlie and Moore and whatever. And I thought, oh my God, I was like, I hadn't recorded in a studio with vocals with anyone yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was like, and as I said, it's a bit nerve-wracking, and I have never been, at this point, I just thought, I don't even know how I sound. I don't know what my sound, but anyway, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Fun, huh? Let's have some fun. So I went in and did the recording on that album. It was 2 songs.
Okay.
And they put me in the live room first. And that did not go very well.
Really?
I was just like, it was a giant room at Sound City, and I was really nervous. And I thought, why am I so nervous? I know these guys, and I wasn't quite sure what they wanted. And I ended up in the control room, standing on the sofa and drinking a bit of whiskey, and then just going fuck it, and that was the first. I don't know which one was first. Feel good hit of the summer. No, is it? Yeah, Feel Good Hit of the Summer.
Yeah.
With Nick,
I have to think of it.
Oh, I can't even remember the name of it. Quick and to the point, Liz.
There we go. Okay.
I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
A little girl walking down the street, hot for time, you gotta be with me. Well, I know, you know, everybody, everyone, let's go. Oh, baby, you're so sweet.
To the point.
Yeah, both of those were nuts, those songs, because one of them I'm like cheering like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'm screaming like on the Feel Good Hit of the Summer. I was just like, what do you want me to do? First of all, I hated it because I thought, come on, guys, this is so cliche. It's just about drugs and shit like that. And they were like, no, just do it. And I said, okay, fine. So I sang it in a lot of different ways over the whole track, and in multiple melodies or whatever, different vibes, and they used more than one. But then they wanted me to scream over Rob Halford, So it's not, everyone thinks it's just Rob Halford, but it's me screaming too. But
oh, wow.
I don't know how this happened, but I ended up in the bathroom at Sound City doing those screaming vocals. I have no idea. I don't know if they were like, oh, it sounds good in there, but I was in the bathroom by myself with all the microphone and stuff doing those vocals at Sound City. Yeah.
The question that I've always wanted to find out about this, and I don't know if you know the answer or not, but how did Rob Halford get involved in that?
I have no idea. I didn't even know who Rob Halford was at the time. I've come to the party late on everything in my life. Well, anyway, I was like, who's that? And they were like, just sing. But I was just there for fun. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, I'll sing. But, you know, and it was really like, it wasn't some kind of big, it was me, Chris Goss, and Josh and Nick in there, and that was it. It wasn't like some big production. It was just like a pop by and do this and because I was so nervous, so I ended up having a little bit of whiskey, and then I loosened up, and then I was like off singing, doing what it, like, I don't know, hopefully doing a better job than they expected in the first place. But it obviously turned out okay. They used all the vocals and stuff like that. But yeah, so I did that, and then I remained friends with those guys, obviously through the years, and you know, just after that. So
I'm assuming that at this point, this is where you meet up with like Mark Lanegan, the guys at Eagles of Death Metal, because I know you've worked with them as well. I know you've done several collaborations with Mark, including a marriage, and we can go into this as only to whatever extent you're comfortable with. So
yeah, fun.
So how did all
that happen?
Yeah, when did you start? How did you guys meet, and when did you start working together?
So firstly, the first club show I played was in Seattle with Earthlings, opening for Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
It was a club owned by Peter Buck. I think it might have been called, it was either called the Crocodile or the Alligator Lounge. I can't remember. It's closed now, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
But that was my first show. That was my first club show with Earthlings. We played a garage, someone's garage. Where Josh lived, we played in his garage once for a party before that. Wow. But that was my first club show, and Mark came to that show because he was obviously friends with Josh, because Josh played in the Trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I met Mark. Well, I think I met him that night after the sound check or something, and then I met him the next day at breakfast. So that was how we met. And then, I don't know, some months later, the Screaming Trees played in LA, and then Queens, I think, played before, and then Earthlings were the opener or something like that.
Okay.
Mark approached me after that show, and we kind of started hanging out and getting to know each other. So it was through, I think, Queens, Josh, all that we met up, and yeah, that's where all of that started. And then, Mark, we were seeing each other after that at some point, and he was working on
Field Songs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he wanted me to do some backing vocals for No Easy Action.
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs on that album.
Well, all is done and turned to dust, and it's ex-nest inside my bones. I see staggering the days outside my tent. No time for being alone. To bleed. The hopeless singing of
I like this one. I like this story because it was neat. He wanted me to do some backing vocals, and I came in and I did some really basic ahs,
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I'd really done anything spectacular. And we left and went home that night or something, and I was in the kitchen cooking. I just started humming something, which is the main thing I did in that song that is repetitive. And when I was cooking, and he came in and said, "What did you just do?" what did you just do? You know, and I did it again. And he goes, turn the stove off. We're going back. We're going back right now. And then that became a main kind of hooky vocal throughout that song.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So that's fun. Yeah, it was really cool because I felt like, that I didn't do much on that, you know, and I felt like maybe he had high hopes or something, and I think, again, I was pretty nervous. I didn't really know who Mark was when we started seeing each other in terms of his musical history and things like that. I just met him. Okay. He was a guy I met. Nice. He was nice to me, and
friend of a friend.
Yeah. And I'd listened to one of his solo records, I think, once I met him. And at the time I was into really heavy stuff, and I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's you know. But still, if someone asks you to come in and sing in the studio on their record, you kind of want to do a good job no matter what. And I just felt like I'd let him down or something. And so it was such a neat thing whenever I was humming this silly thing and he loved it. And that was how everything I did with Mark was like that. It was off the cuff, or anything I tried to do, I didn't like it, or it wasn't anything that I did under my breath or in the privacy of my home or something. He'd be like, that's it. Oh, you know, come on, let's go. You know, yeah. Like on the track, on Bubblegum Bombed, I got one shot at that.
Really?
One. I never heard it. I came into the studio and he said, sit down. He handed me a piece of paper with the lyrics on it.
Oh my God.
And he said, put the thing on, and he goes, just have a go at this. And I was like, what? Can I just listen to it first? No, I was like, oh, okay. So that's why it sounds so Bombed is very, I'm not landing on the beginnings of everything with him. And because I've never heard it. I've never tried it. And I did it, and he went, perfect. And I said, no, that's not fair. Let me do it again.
Oh,
I did it a second time, and he said, throw it away. You're done.
You're done.
Okay. But
his experience with you is that, you know, when you're not aware of what's going on, when you're just doing it subconsciously, that's what he's loving. And so I can kind of understand his approach on that. I know it had to be nerve wracking for you, but it works. That's a great song.
Love, there are flowers hanging in the vine, so high you cannot see. Now my mind must go on holiday, torn from its hook, a broken valentine. I see the smoke from a revolver. Will I get hit?
Well, at that point, he probably knew that once my mind got involved, everything from that point on was going to be shit. So he always tried to harvest whatever happened before my brain switched on.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So you're working with him. You're married, and I think you guys ended up moving to North Carolina at some point, right?
Yeah, we did. We before we were married, we were living together, and 9/11 happened.
Oh, okay.
We were, I don't know, I think at the time we weren't crazy about living in LA. I don't know, but that happened, and we went, let's get out of here because this place is next. And we thought, okay, we either go to Seattle or North Carolina, because Seattle is kind of, you know, close to his home or where he was from, and North Carolina is where my family were. So he was like, not Seattle. Let's go to North Carolina. And it was cheap there, and obviously my family was there, and so we thought, and I was like, yeah, but I need to play music. At this time, I was still playing music, but right. I was playing again quietly with my friends, and I was also really struggling with my self-confidence with music. So I was doing it, but really on the sly, really not pushing, really not, just keeping it way under the radar, still thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to keep doing it because I love it, you know. And,
wow.
Yeah, and I'd said to him, if I go to North Carolina, I might go crazy because I won't be able to do music. I won't have my compadres here. And he's like, I want you to play in my band, so you'll be fine. I want you to play bass in the Mark Lanegan thing. And I was like, are you sure? Because we kind of started to try that one other time, and it was a disaster.
Oh, really?
Basically, what year was it? Oh, I don't know, but it was early on. It was before Bubblegum.
Okay.
And he'd gone on about how cool he'd worked with a female bass player or something before, and how cool it was, and he'd seen me in the Earthlings, and he was like, he wanted to try me in the band. And at the time he was playing with Mike Johnson and Ben Shepherd.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
Oh, man.
And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And he had a rehearsal scheduled in Seattle, and I was supposed to be learning the tracks. And as one does, as a young idiot, I left it to the last minute. And then I got into a car accident just a week before the rehearsal.
Oh my gosh.
I got into a car, and I was okay. I was shaken up by it. I think I might have had like a small concussion or something like that, but I was shaken up by it, but nothing major. But it affected my ability, my cognitive skills. And he was like, no, you're coming to rehearsal. And I went to the rehearsal, and I was really bad. Oh. And really and Ben was not happy about it. I think Ben might have even walked out of the room or something. And I was mortified. I can't remember that much about it. I think I probably blocked it out. And I've got like nothing but respect for Ben Shepherd. He is, wow. Just stuff he did with Mark. I never listened to Soundgarden in those days or whatever. I just knew Ben because of Mark and also Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
And those guys, they're playing just rip your heart out.
Oh, Ben's songwriting just is incredible. Guys, he's like one of those guys. He's one of those guys I would love to get on this podcast one of these days, just because I don't know, the stuff he creates just comes from some other planet. I don't
absolutely. I've listened to guitar solos from him that left me in tears. And then I've seen some crazy shit from him. He had a band called it was one. I think it was one word. It was called. Are
you thinking about Hater?
Hater.
Yeah.
Yes. I went to see Hater.
Oh.
Like after me, I think it was in a period when me and Mark weren't together, and I went to see Hater, and I was pinned to the back of the wall. It was incredible. And I hadn't heard anything quite like it. And I didn't know that was going to come out of Ben. It was completely the opposite end of the spectrum of this like heart-wrenching, beautiful, gentle, amazing guitar solos he was playing on Mark's solo stuff. And it was just, whoa. I wish I could go back to that show. It was one of the handful of shows I've been to that had such an impact. But
wow. Oh, I'm so jealous you got a chance to see Hater. I've never got a chance to see them live. Oh.
I mean, it was not like Soundgarden.
Right.
Like not, and Ben as a front man he's just
well, he's an enormous dude too, so he's quite a presence on stage.
Absolutely. And it's genuine. What he's delivering to you is something that is pure and unstoppable and what's the word? He was quiet socially.
Very unassuming. Yeah. And I remember because back when he joined Soundgarden, there wasn't really the internet at all. And so I remember getting Bad Motorfinger and not realizing Hero had left the band, and because I was a big Soundgarden fan from Louder Than Love on. That's when I found out about them, and I loved it. And I'm like, wait, they've got a new bassist, and I was like, oh man, that sound's gonna change. Everything's gonna change, and then I heard it, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's a different sound, but it's still Soundgarden. But you could tell the songs that he had a lot of influence on because they just sounded different.
Yeah,
it's guys. The guy's just a musically just brilliant.
Genius. I believe he's a genius. He's the real deal.
Yeah, they're in this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
So, yeah, I saw that the other day.
Where the hell are we? I don't know. I'm looking at my notes here but this is how I love podcasts to go. Just a conversation where I'm like, good. I don't even care about my notes. I just try to keep some notes to keep a little bit of a timeline because I love spontaneous stories. And when things just come to my guests, I'm like, oh, hey, I remember this. So during this time, I'm still jealous you got to see Hater.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You guys, you made it up for me because I did get the chance to see Humanist. So that to me is even more important. But
I think Ben should, I think he should reunite Hater.
That would be incredible. That would be amazing.
Start a campaign, Mark.
You got
Start a campaign.
You got it. That'll be my Christmas gift. Let's start working on reuniting Hater.
Yeah.
All right. So you're working on Mark's material. Is he working on anything that you're writing? Is he helping out, or is he contributing to anything that you're writing, or are you still kind of trying to do that quietly by yourself and not let anybody know?
Yeah. Basically, what happened was I was really having an internal battle, which would become external, and he'd get really frustrated with me in the confidence department. Oh. I would show him stuff I was writing. He'd convince me to. I didn't want to. I'd show him, and then he'd go, "This is amazing. This is." I don't know. He'd be like, he got really frustrated with me, and I get it. It must have been irritating. Because I was really, really down on myself, and I mean, honestly, badly. I was bad. I made it hard for myself to progress by being so down on everything I would record, and everything I showed him, he'd be like, he was so complimentary, and Mark, I believe that he would have said, I don't think he was bullshitting me, he was being honest, and it was encouraging, but I still battled. And eventually, once we moved, I was trying to work on stuff, and he got so frustrated with me. He was like, I'm not going to talk about this with you anymore. Because I'd show him stuff as I was going and say, what do you think of this? It's fucking terrible, blah, blah. And he'd go, ugh, what's wrong with you? This is, till the point again where he said, I'm not going to talk about it with you anymore. And I said, okay, cool. And I shut my shit down and I put my guitar into the bed, and I just was like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Wow.
I felt so, not because of him, but because I was so down on myself. And then once I didn't have that support from him, I was like, it's not worth it. Fuck it. And at that point, he was like planning on having me in his band. But what happened was he very quickly, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but he decided that he didn't think it would be a good idea for me to play in the band. And immediately Queens started to blow up anyway. So.
Oh, yeah. Songs of the Deaf comes out. And
yes. Yeah. So I wasn't happy about that because we moved and I thought I was going to be playing music. And he was like, nah, but whatever, you get on with things. I'd stuck my guitar under the bed. So I was like, well, that's it for me musically. You know what I mean? And I just delved into some other stuff, working with dogs. I went back, took some courses, some veterinary courses and like photography courses. And he went off and with Queens. And that was like, yeah, they blew up. It was all so weird. It was.
And I heard this, and you can tell me if this is accurate or not, but that you guys were married and then like the next day he ended up going on tour with Queens. Is that actually what happened?
That's right. Wow. Exactly right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then he was rarely home after that. And then we split up because it wasn't the lifestyle that at the time he was comfortable with. And it wasn't making him happy, but he was a little bit tortured because he was very grateful for that success. He really was. And so there was a battle going on inside him, and he'd been sober the entire time that I'd known him and that we'd been together.
Yeah.
So once he fell off the wagon, he wasn't interested in telling me about it. He was interested in trying to cover it up, and that only lasted for so long. So yeah. But it was bizarre because we moved far out in the middle of nowhere onto this bay we in this shitty house we couldn't find anything, and we found this shitty house. We made it nice. It was cheap, and it was on a bay. It had like a dock that went out into the water, and I'm so glad to say that I got to see him truly happy, clean. And also I want my best memories are of him sat on the front porch writing bubblegum, staring out onto the water, laughing, all that. I mean, there was really good memories in that short time there. And I feel very lucky that I got to have that with him.
Oh, that's
but yeah. Anyway, so carry on.
So through all those connections, that's how you met Richard File from Uncle, right?
Yes.
Because that was your next project is We Fell to Earth.
So basically, from that time, I started recording more seriously a few tracks, and I got somebody. I didn't know how to use a computer, and I got this amazing guitarist called Tony Bevilacqua, who I met through Josh and Brody. He plays with Brody in the Distillers. He helped me with a computer to record some demos. That guy's also another guitarist that will destroy your heart with his playing. I wanted so bad to play with him. I wanted to have him in a band, but I ended up moving away. So anyway, he helped me record some demos, and I could hear them in a way that I'd not heard my music, and I got really excited. And that was sort of after Mark and I split up. And then I met Rich because Uncle, he was in Uncle.
Yeah.
And they were in town, and they were making a record with Chris Goss. And it was like Chris Goss, Josh, all of us, we were always together hanging out, doing stuff, holidays together.
Oh, that's awesome.
That kind of stuff. So he had a barbecue at his house, Josh, and the guys that were all working on the record were there. And I came over, I met Rich, and those guys were there for like 3 months. So, and I kept seeing them. Like, we also shot a video for Queen's Burn the Witch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I think that was the second time I saw Rich, because, the Queen's guys used to just invite people to do stuff all the time. And so I think they invited the Uncle guys, come over to the video shoot, we'll put you in there, whatever. So they did. And I met him again. So we just kind of kept seeing each other. And then we kind of like gravitated towards each other in these like social situations. I think we had in common that we we felt slightly uncomfortable in some of these social situations, and ended up in the corner chatting and,
right.
Feeling uncomfortable together.
Yeah, the uncomfortable people all gravitate towards each other.
Yeah. But we ended up hanging out and sitting around with instruments one day and just messing around, and kind of started writing a couple of songs. And it was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And for me, it was great because I hadn't played with another person in a long time. And I don't know. And he was coming from a different background. And it was a background that I was very interested in, which is electronics.
Okay.
So cut to, he invites me out a couple years later. He's like, I've left Uncle. I'm making a solo record. Let's put those songs we wrote on my record. Would you come out and record them?
Wow.
And so I did. And we ended up, we started recording those songs, and we were like, okay. And then we came in another day and started something from scratch. And it was like, we both felt miles above the other stuff. We threw that out, and we just started making new songs like that in that time. And by the end of my time here, when I came to visit to do that, Rich was like, listen, I don't want this to be a solo project. Come and do it with me. Come and do this. And I was like, okay, yes. Because I think, I just never had enough confidence to strike out on my own and go, I'm going to try and make a record or something. It was like, I had to work with somebody else who I admired what they were doing and focus on that, and just kind of ignore the stuff that I was coming out with, because I was still so underconfident,
I understand that for sure.
Yeah. And what he did is what I wanted to know more about, programming beats and using synths, and he had a different way of thinking about things from a production standpoint, and I really liked it, and it was great. So that and I think my background of just doing live music and guitars and things like he was interested in bringing that into what he did. So
okay,
that's how that happened.
Band is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
I absolutely love it. I was listening to this morning. The music, it's infectious. To me, it kind of sounds like if songs like "Spin This Town." All right, that's probably my favorite. It kind of sounds like if Mogwai wrote the soundtrack to Twin Peaks.
That's interesting. Because I don't think that in large part that record sounds like Mogwai, but we both loved Mogwai. There were a few things we had in common that we thought when we discovered this about each other, we were like, yeah, let's try this. We both loved Mogwai. We both loved krautrock. Yep. And I think which we both were somewhat newly immersing ourselves in. And then we also loved trip hop.
Okay, I
mean, and the David Lynch thing, it's a lot like trip hop, and it's also but very dark and sparse. So
yes.
And with a lot of programmed stuff and interesting sounding guitars, and so we had all these kind of things that in common that we were both really getting into it. This just happened to be getting into it at the same time, and that's how we went at that record. Kinda, I didn't know how to translate those influences into something of my own, but he was really good at figuring out how to do that. You know what I mean? Like I was just good at coming up with I say I was good. The thing that I did was come up with lines and melodies or whatever, and then he would go, like, let's take this sound of this thing that we love and try and apply it to this. That's one of the things I learned from Rich was about, I guess you could call that production, but that was such a great experience that, I will never ever, I don't think I'll ever get over the loss of that project.
Oh, wow.
Ever. It was my dream thing. And it was progressing rapidly, unusually rapidly, and then it just went because of bad mismanagement. So,
I was going to ask about that because first of all, the music, like I said, it's amazing. It appears from reading about this that you guys really took to syncing the music way before a lot of other bands really even knew what that was. I mean, you guys appeared in a...
You say syncing?
Yes.
Good question. What happened? Doodle. Stop it. So come here. Come here, Kiki. Here. Good. Doodle. Be nice, please. Good girl. So what happened was... Shh. Can you hear him growling?
Yes, I can.
Hopefully you can work that into the podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's saying...
Okay, so here's what happened. When I came out to record with Rich, he had a manager. He'd taken on his own manager in the end of Uncle because he wasn't feeling great about how things were going there.
Okay.
So he took on his own manager. Then he left Uncle, and he was I think he might have been doing DJ gigs in the meantime and stuff, but he had plans to make his own music. So he had this manager.
Okay.
So when we started doing these songs and we finished the first 3, his manager gave them to the sync agent that Uncle had.
Oh, okay.
Because Uncle did really well in sync at the time.
Okay.
So he gave the first 3 tracks we finished, and all 3 of them got syncs within, 6 months or 9 months or something. Like,
oh my God.
Syncs that were healthy. They weren't like, you know, we didn't get to quit our day jobs, but I mean, the management / label did.
Yeah.
Because they made more money than we did, but
Of course.
they were very, very healthy syncs. And so what happened was, I think they got really excited once we handed over the first 3 tracks, and they all 3 got syncs in a very short space of time. So they decided to form a label and sign us.
Okay.
So that's what happened. And we finished the record. It took us a long time because we started writing and recording at the same time.
Okay.
It was a brand new project. We were trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it took us a year-ish to do a whole album.
Oh,
and,
okay.
yeah, we continued to get some syncs. We started touring. That went very well. We had an amazing live agent. The live show was a whole other thing to the record. Oh. And when we started playing live, we were like, oh God, wish we'd have done this first.
Yeah.
You know, and then recorded. Oh God, it was really hard to learn how to do that live. But once we got it, it was so satisfying. It was really satisfying. And did some great tours, and then like basically the record was out for just a really short amount of time. It hadn't even been released in all the major territories. And the label / management, we had just ramped up the touring, and it was like the end of the year that the record had been released. Like the record had been released mid-year. Okay. And it was the end of the year. And it had only been released in a few small territories in Europe. Which is where we were touring with Air. We were opening for Air there. Right?
Yeah.
The tour went very well for us. Very well. So it was, we came back for Christmas, and we got news of like being actually invited early to certain festivals and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, for the next year. And we were just like, oh, you know, there were some in Europe, there was some in America. And I'm going to tell you, like, me and Rich were in a really good space when we started doing this project, and the whole time that we did this project, we were on this health kick and like mental health kick, and we were doing a lot of meditation and a lot of yoga. And we, like, you know, we both have struggled with stuff in the past, and we thought, we're too old for that shit anymore. And we're so happy now to be working on our dream project. Let's look after ourselves. And
yeah.
And we would meditate together. We were doing everything in the studio. We were working together. We were going to yoga. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact, with the fact that project did so well, so rapidly, and was so well received. You know, we put it out there with a lot of good energy and a lot of good intentions. Yeah. Sadly, we put it into the wrong hands. But anyway, so all these cool things were happening. But on like January 2nd, the business guys called for a meeting and said, we've changed our minds. You're not going to do these festivals.
What?
And you're not going to tour this record anymore. You're going to go back into the studio and make some more music.
Oh my God. I didn't know they could do that.
We were like, what? But what about all these amazing festivals? This is like, we're being given the keys to the kingdom. What are you like?
Yeah.
What? We busted our ass on this record. We've been busting our ass touring and like getting this band sharpened up. You know what I mean? This live band that we had.
Yeah.
And we were, and the show was good. The show, by the end of that Air tour, we were like really happy with the way things were sounding.
Oh, awesome.
Also, we started out with 4 people, but Air wouldn't allow us to have 4. So we went down to 3. So that record you heard, to learn how to play that record with 3 people was like, everyone was doing the task of like 3 people at one time. Right. You know, so it was a big undertaking, but we did it. You know, we're really happy with it. And then here they're like, oh, you're not gonna carry on promoting this record, you know, back in the studio. And we were like, we can't. We were on empty, to be honest, at that point. We were happy to keep touring, but fuck, we were just exhausted and drained. And
I bet.
We were like, what's good? What do you mean? We ended up, I don't know. It's a long story, but basically they wanted us to go back in the studio and create new music because our records sync so well. But the music supervisors, they want new, fresh stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So they wanted us to go back in, make more music so they could get more sings.
Which is, for them, I guess less money out of pocket than sending you guys on tour to promote.
We never had it. By the way, we never had an advance.
Oh, wow.
No advance.
Well, that's better for you guys.
We were working for nothing. We were working for nothing. We got a small amount of the of the proceeds of the syncs. They got the majority of it. They were the record label, the management.
Oh, gosh.
And then obviously Rich and I are splitting things because we were the writers and creators or whatever. But like we come to as is the going thing, musicians are they're at the end of the line.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We were barely surviving, and they're like, this thing is starting to happen for us. And they were like, no, you're stopping, you're going to the studio. And we went, no, we're not doing that. And there's more to this, there's more to it. But at the end of the day, after all things considered, we decided to sit out the rest of the contract.
Wow.
So we did. And that was the end of We Fell to Earth. We both thought that once the contract was finished, we would start up again. But I think it was like 2 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And at the end of 2 years, we were both in all kinds of other stuff going on. And it just didn't happen, sadly.
Yeah, once that momentum's gone, it's hard to build it back up again.
Well, we suffered a major blow when that went the way that it went because both of us put all of our eggs in one basket for it. And we were at an age as well where it was, I hate to say that, it sounds stupid, but make or break kind of. Is that we weren't in our 20s, we were in our mid 30s or something like that. And we both obviously have our own personal struggles to deal with alongside it. That was such a big, we had worked so hard. We'd worked our lives to get to the point to be able to create that. And we were so happy with that. And it was working. It was working. And we were both like, wow, and then that it was a major blow to both of us, I think. And I love that project so much. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. And I don't regret it for a second. I don't, there are things about doing that project that changed my life so drastically. And sometimes I'm like, oh God, some of those, not all of those things are positive, but a lot of those things are positive. So I look back on it with fondness. I'm so proud of it. And I'm so sad. I'm so sad that it didn't get to go where it needed to go. And a lot of people can't listen to it because it's ridiculous. It's not available to listen to. I've
found, some of it on YouTube, but I think there's like a playlist with 8 songs and a couple of them are repeated. So that's because now I want to hear all of it. I want to hear everything you guys did because what I did here is so incredible.
Thank you. There's a story behind why. Well, there's a large portion of a story behind why it's not available, and it would probably be an entire other podcast. It's ridiculous. So I won't go into it, but but Rich and I basically had a plan and other people to help us save that record, but the business partners made it impossible. So that is why you can't buy it or listen to it where you are. And it's ridiculous because I don't understand. It's all spite and stubbornness and weird shit like that.
That just makes no sense.
What can I do? They own the master forever.
Oh no, it's one of those.
Archaic deal we signed. We had our heads in the cloud. We were living in this positive bubble. And it was like, in some ways it was extremely beneficial to do that. In other ways, it was extremely naive. We were extremely naive, and we got had.
Yeah, unfortunately, and unfortunately, it's not an uncommon story.
That's right. Yeah.
So after the dissolution, I guess for lack of a better term, We Fell to Earth. I see that you released singles, and I'm trying to just figure out the timeline here. So you released singles as Katie Cruel. Was that a band, or was that like a stage name or?
So, okay. After We Fell to Earth, after that stuff happened, I was like, I'm going to keep making music. I'll start doing my own thing for now, whilst I wait for We Fell to Earth to start up again.
Right.
And I decided I wanted it to be a band called Katie Cruel.
Okay.
And Katie Cruel is a song. It's an old folk song, but Karen Dalton, the folk singer, recorded it, and that's where I heard it, and I loved it. I loved everything about it, and I love that name. And ever since I first heard that, Mark turned me onto that. I was like, I'm going to have a band, and it's going to be called Katie Cruel one day. So what happened was, when I was in We Fell to Earth, Timo Maas, he's a DJ and German DJ, makes his own records and stuff. He did a remix, a We Fell to Earth remix, and I don't know what happened with that. We never had control over those things. But
yeah,
a newer manager that was helping me out said, hey, why don't you reach out to Timo Maas? He really liked We Fell to Earth, and say, hey, if you ever want to do anything, I'm available.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him, and he goes, well, yeah, I'd love to put an EP out. I've got my own label. So I was like, okay, cool. I give him some songs under Katie Cruel, and I'd kind of formed a band. I was trying to, get a live band going. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he put out an EP, and then I also, at the same time, he said, but I'll do this, but would you sing on one of my songs on my upcoming record? And I was like, yeah. So we kind of did this. All of this stuff has moved very, very, very slowly because I have to have a job.
Right.
So music was always done after work in the gaps, and there's not a lot of gaps, to be honest. So it's frustrating at how slow things have gone for me, but that's the main reason. And
you're also in the UK at this point. You've moved to the UK.
Oh yeah, I stayed in the UK from the time I moved for We Fell to Earth. I've been here. I've stayed. Okay. But I've also done a lot of work that people don't know about because they either there are collaborations that haven't come out yet or collaborations, different genres, whatever. So I've been steadily doing stuff the whole time.
Okay. I'm
just not producing as much as I would if I didn't have to work a full-time job or overtime or whatever, Yeah. So I put those songs out as Katie Cruel because that's what I wanted to call myself. But after a little bit of time with my friend that was trying to help manage me a little bit, his advice was like, I think you should use your name so that people can connect the dots from all the work you've done,
Yeah.
And I hated the thought of using my name. But at that point, I was like, if you think it's a good idea, okay, I'll use my name. I just want to play music, whatever helps. I just wanted to make it so that I could sit down as much as possible and make music. So if someone told me to, dye my hair green, that would help create more opportunities for this to be my job, I would have done it. Yeah. So I started going by my name. And then I was chipping away at a record, and same thing happened again on Warped Resurrection. Okay. I met a sync agent. They liked the cinematic quality of the music.
That's exactly the word I was going to use for it, too.
Yeah. And they decided to form a label and offer me a record deal.
Okay.
Which was it wasn't beneficial, but I don't know a lot of people in the business. I don't have connections. There was not a queue of people lining up to give me a deal. And again, like I said, I just wanted to do anything to push things forward in hopes of making this my job.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to do it as my job. So I ended up doing a deal with them. The record came out. I don't want to say shelved it, but they did. They didn't promote it. They put a single out, and actually the single did very well, all things considered. It charted on like indie music chart. I don't know. It rose up the charts for a couple of weeks. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
But then nothing. I can only assume that same as the last guys, they just wanted to, it takes money and time to invest in a band to have a long-term career.
Yeah.
But when you've got a band that's sinking or an artist that's sinking, why not just sit back and let the dollars roll in?
Yeah. Which song was it that was released as the single? Was it This Is Not a Love Song, or was it City City, Golden Brown? Because I see some of those as singles, so I'm just curious as to which one was the one that they released.
They released a song called Svengali. City City.
That is one of my favorite songs off that. So the question that I've got about that album, I guess the main question is, I see it released as Warped and Warped Resurrection. Is there a difference between the two, or is it a re-release?
Yes. So firstly, Warped is the first incarnation of the record that was released by the label.
Okay.
Which was also my sync agent. It was called, it doesn't matter what it was called. They then didn't do anything with it. So I pursued them in the next few years to get the rights back.
Okay.
I formed my own label and I released it as Warped Resurrection. And yes, there's a slight difference.
Okay.
I took off the last track from the first release. I put in Golden Brown. I reordered it. I remastered it. And that was Warped Resurrection. I just made it slightly different.
Okay.
But I wanted it to I wanted to put it out properly. And, I'm a teeny tiny embryo of a label, but I put it out properly. It was available everywhere. It had some press. I gave it the best breath of life I possibly could. And I'm happy with that. It's more than I can say for the other label.
Yeah.
But, I'm happy with that.
And your label is Ghost Rhythm Records, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, good. Yeah. Got to make sure we get that out. So then everybody knows which version to buy. If they could, I don't even know if you could find the other one.
You shouldn't be able to find the other one. You shouldn't be able to. There's some shitty vinyl hanging around somewhere.
Yeah.
Really bad. They shoved all of that onto one piece of vinyl, which was a really bad idea, and it sounded horrific. So I put it out again, and I did a double so that it could have a chance to be heard the way in which it was intended. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that second pressing there, that second record.
Good. And like you said, you got to put it out the right way. If it demands 2 discs, 2 vinyl platters, you got to do it. The sound is, you got to give it that space. You can't compress it.
When they approved the label that put it out the first time, they didn't send me the test pressings.
Really?
Yeah, they just listened and approved. So I didn't hear it until it was in the public. And I heard it and I was like, oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. It had noise all over it and it sounded squashed. And I asked them to stop the sale of it. And they weren't happy about that. They weren't happy about it, but I was embarrassed. It was such a big moment for me. It was the first time in all these years, because We Fell to Earth never got vinyl, Yeah. I was like, it has to sound that good. It has to sound it has to be what it is, and it has to sound in the way that I intended it. I can't, at this age, after this career, I can't put out something that sounds like that. What an idiotic thing to do, you know what I mean? Especially after,
putting it out as under your actual name. And people, like you said, people can connect the dots.
Yeah. So I was like, please, guys, please, this is not a good move. And they were like, well, we can't ask the distributor to hold them back, blah, blah, blah. And so I think that was the beginning of the downfall of that relationship. But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, I had to do it properly, and I did in the best way that I could, and I'm happy with that.
Well, I'm looking at the tracks right now. I mean, I can't pick out one song that's not incredible on that. I'm looking at it right now. Every song. I mean, you start off with "This Is Not a Love Song," which is amazing, and you end with, like I was going to say, one of the most cinematic songs I've heard from you in "The Sound of My Heart." I can hear that at the end of a movie, like the end credits of a movie. That song would be perfect, especially a movie that with a sad ending.
Oh, thank you.
Some of the songs on there are a bit dark, like "The Sound of My Heart," and that kind of stuff. I kind of gravitate towards that stuff anyway. So
that song, that I was just actually Rich recorded that, and I didn't know he was recording it. I was just messing around on the piano, and he recorded it, and I just decided it was a big step for me to do that because it was just free flowing, and I didn't do lots of editing, and it wasn't like all super processed. Obviously, like I love doing that, but I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it anyway. Put it out. There's a lot of that. I've had to stop being so. I've learned over the years not to be too fussy and just do stuff and just get it out as much as you can because time's running out. I've got a hard drive with like 3 or 4 records on it, and I'm like,
oh, you're killing me.
I just want stop Doodle. I just want the time to finish it.
See, Doodle wants you to finish it too.
Doodle wants me to finish it. That's what he's growling. He's upset about it.
He's like, come on. So I want to figure out the timeline here. So you've done a score for the movie Flicker and Pulse.
Yes.
But you also joined my buddy Rob's band, Humanist. How did that timeline go? Which one happened first?
Flicker and Pulse.
Okay. So let's go into that because that is really cool.
Oh, you like it?
It is. I like ambient stuff, and you've got some amazing stuff in there. Like let me pull up the right track here. Quiet Sounds in a Dark Hole. That's the song that I was thinking about. That is a great track. You like it? I love it.
I've got a good story about how I made that if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. At the time, I was living in southeast London in Deptford, and there was an so I lived in an apartment that had a balcony, and it was summer, and the doors were open.
Okay.
And I was working on that film score. And I had all my gear out and stuff in there. And I heard this incredible sound outside. And I was like, what is that? I ran outside. And there was this kind of arts theater place next door that had a big back garden.
Okay.
And there was like this art installation going on with these giant structures that were built. They were metal giant, and they had these spinning... I didn't know what it was. It was almost like a windmill, but turned horizontal. Yeah, but bizarre. And it was making sounds like tones. And there were maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them. And they were all going and making different tones, and it worked together. And the sounds would slowly morph. It was just a droney kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I grabbed my computer and a microphone, and I ran outside and I just recorded it.
Oh, wow. So you're doing a Foley recording.
Yeah. I mean, it was a shitty recording, it was like really bad. But anyway, I did it. Oh, but wait, I forgot to tell you something. So when I came back, when I was in the apartment before I ran out to record, I'd been listening to a record. I was taking a break, probably having some food, and I put on a record.
Okay.
And I don't know what record. I can't remember what it was, but it was going. The record was still going when I left to go and record that sound. When I came back in, the art installation was still happening with the drones in the background, but the record was at the end and it was kind of skipping. And I thought, oh, I recorded that. I was like, these are happening together. So that's what you can hear on there.
That's awesome.
I then chopped and arranged and processed the hell out of his installation. I'm telling you, I did everything. I've run it through 18 million different processes, turn it back. I just messed it up. This is super fun stuff.
Yeah.
I got his permission to use his sound, though, obviously.
Oh, cool.
I credit him as a writer on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, there were 2 versions of that, and I loved them both. So they've both been, I've used both of them. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you like that, because it is weird. It's pretty weird, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, but it's great. How did you get involved in that project? I mean, did you reach out to the filmmakers, or did they reach out to you?
The filmmakers reached out to me. They learned about my music. This is so funny. They learned about my music, and we had a meeting, and then I thought, what is this going to be? I've never made a film score. We sat down and I said, they're like, really interested in you doing the music for this film. I said, cool, what's it about? A garden. And I said, have you heard my Are you sure I'm the right person that you're meant to be meeting with? And they were like, yep. And I said, okay, it's about a garden. And I said, they said, listen, just go away and make some music. This is a dream come true for a director to say, go away and make your music and then just give it to us. Right. You don't have to do it to picture. And I said, okay. Wow. I said, you don't want me to see anything? Nope. Just go do what you do. And I forgot to say, though, I did a tiny project with the director. I did a very tiny short documentary that he did for the Natural History Museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'd done this. Sorry, this is important. He had done that and he gave me some of the documentary with some Brian Eno music in the places. Okay. And he said, can you do something kind of like this? And I said, can I be Brian Eno? No. Yeah. I said, I'll just do some music. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, that's fine. And he loved what I gave him. He loved it. Great. So then he came to this bigger project to say, I want you to do this, the garden thing. And I was like, and I did the weirdest fucking thing I could do and gave it to him. And he went, I love it. Because I would just do a little bit and then say, I can develop these if you like them. And then I give it to him. And he said, yep, finish it. I'll have it. And so that's how the garden thing. And I was just thinking, how is this going to turn out? And then he'd finish it and give it to me. And I thought, wow, this is quite cool. And people either loved it or hated it. I enjoyed a lot of the bad, shitty comments about it. Wonderful documentary. Music is horrific. Yeah. That is a win. That's all right.
I love that stuff too. I don't know why.
It got good reviews and stuff, so that was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So obviously I've listened to the music that you've been involved in for a long time, because I'm a big Queens fan, been a huge Mark Lanegan fan. I'm lucky enough to have him on the podcast twice. I've been listening to the things that you've done, but I've really, honed in on you, focused in on you after Humanist. How did you meet up with Rob and start working with Rob?
Okay. Another story. Here you go.
Right.
Right after I put out Resurrection, I thought you asked me which came first. The documentary had happened already.
Okay.
In fact, I'd made a second one. I made a second one with those guys, which hasn't come out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's another story. So I'd made that. I'd formed my label. I'd put out Warp Resurrection. I got a message from Rob saying he basically met with a friend of mine, a mutual friend, and Rob was looking for singers.
Okay.
And this friend, he's called Pablo Clemens. He actually was also an uncle in the past.
Oh, okay.
He suggested to Rob that I would be a good singer to consider for his project.
Oh, cool.
So Rob got in touch. I got his message, and I was like, he seemed like a nice guy. I get messages from time to time, and like I said, I'm busy working and trying to do my own music and trying to do a label. So
yeah,
I just don't ever see how I can fit everything in. But I got Rob's message. Pablo called me and said, I've recommended you to this guy. He's a really nice guy. And he's looking for singers. And I said, okay, cool. And he was like, he did do some work with Mark in the past. And I went, oh, okay. And I just thought, I'm not sure about that. There's certain kind of boundaries and things like that in place. And I thought,
makes sense.
But I was busy anyway. And Rob was his messages were so nice that I said, hey, yeah, let's meet up sometime, see what we can talk about. And that sort of never happened. Like, we never met. It's over the course of the next couple of years. And then after I put out the documentary, the score, I had a kind of a moment where I just froze. There was a lot of really sad things happening. Mark passed, and several other people passed in a short space of time that I was close with, and I just was having a really hard time. And I'm not one of those people I'm not great at creating when I'm having a hard time in that way.
Okay.
So I kind of I put everything on hold with music. I needed to stop for a minute and catch my breath and try and process a lot of really unsavory things that had been happening. So I was in a break, if you want to call it that. So one day I get a message from Rob out of the blue saying, hey, I might be doing these shows. They're kind of big shows, but just wondered if you might be interested in playing bass. And I just knee-jerk reaction said yes, which is really, really unlike me because I have so much music to do myself. I don't have enough time to get it. I have no idea how I'm going to get it done in this life.
Right.
But I hadn't been feeling great. And I just kind of thought, well, live music, playing somebody else's music, this could be fun. This could make me feel better. And it could be just kind of like, I love to play bass and not sing.
Yeah.
It can be very tricky to do both. So I thought, I just said yes, and I hadn't heard the record. And after I said yes, I thought, oh God, what have I done? What if I hate this music? What if it's just, because to be honest, I hadn't researched Rob that much or anything like that. I just, at that point. So he sends me the record a couple days later, and I just was like, what? I just was blown away. I was blown away, and I thought, wow.
Yeah.
No wonder I said a knee-jerk yes, because I need to do this. Yeah. I need to do it. So, so that's how it happened. We did Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode was the shows that he needed a bass player for. We had never played together as a band before the first Depeche Mode show, so that was interesting.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It just worked. It was great. It was great.
The band live is just a beast. You guys are amazing. I mean, I know Rob's approach to his albums is a lot different than the approach to playing live, but I mean, he's got it's like a musical collective. He's got such an amazing cast of rotating characters. Isabel Campbell, Dave Gahan, Carl Hancock Rooks, Pete and Leah from BRMC. It's just an incredible project he's got going. But that approach doesn't work live. So putting together a band to be able to play this wide,
like that,
because there's so many different types of sounds in it. It's just, it's amazing. And I'm going to give a proud papa moment here because I introduced Rob to Jimmy. So that's how those two got together. So I'm very proud of that moment, because what I heard live it just blew me away. I mean, I've known Jimmy for several years now and been able to see him live several times, and I know how good he is, and to hear him play with Rob, and it was just like a dream for me. It was like two of my favorite people on the planet playing music together. It was just amazing.
I like the combination.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy's got such a range too. He can play so much. He can sing so many of the different types of, like Tim Smith is so much different from John Robb, and he can do them both.
I know. This is what I find really amazing about this live version of the music. I was thinking to myself, how's this going to happen? And Rob started talking to me about the singers, and I thought, you've got a real task on your hands there.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, but just trying to find somebody to sing Mark songs alone. Yep. I was just like, are you sure you want to maybe leave those out? He's like, I can't leave those out. Yeah. And I was like, well, but I mean, and then what happened? I mean, you didn't see James Cox was part of the live show, and that was great. Like having James and Jimmy, just a real vibe. And then when James couldn't do the shows, we were like, oh God, but the band seemed to kind of evolve into this other kind of post-punk gothy thing once James wasn't involved anymore, that really seemed to take on a life of its own.
Yeah.
We heard things like, we would talk to people in the audience because we had no idea how it's coming across. We're just up there going for it. You know what I mean? And we would get out and speak to people, and they say things like that we really liked, like, "There's a real Bauhaus vibe going on here." And it was like, oh, wow, Killing Joke.
Yes.
So it's bizarre, Rob's, the various. How can I say? Like, his records are amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful songs. Everything about him, but yeah, the way they translate live, it takes on a life of its own. It's another thing.
It is. The songs are different, but just like you said, they come alive. It's
He did a great job of putting the band together. I mean, that's just not an easy thing to do. It's just not. And then what came out of it was it's just really cool. Really honored to be a part of that. Love it. I love it. I love rehearsing with those guys. They're so nice. We have a laugh. The thing all around is a super positive experience.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Live, you guys are powerful, and it's just amazing because Rob and Jimmy are two of the sweetest guys I've ever known. I mean, they're just absolute sweethearts, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you and researching your music. It's been amazing to hear what you've done. And I don't know, I feel really connected to Rob's music. I mean, I got very, very fortunate because through a couple other people, Mark came on and did my 100th episode.
That's how he feels about life.
That's staying in.
Oh my gosh, let's move over here. Okay, so Mark came on and did your 100th episode.
Yes, because I'd had a couple other people on who knew him, and I wanted to do something special for my 100th episode. So I asked Ian Ottaway, who's friends with BRMC and who had worked with Mark on a couple tracks for his album. He recommended me to Matt Boroff, who also did the podcast, who knew Mark. And then he reached out to Mark and he's like, look, I'll ask Mark, and if he's cool with it, I'll connect you guys. So Matt reached out. Mark said, sure, no problem. So Mark came on and we spoke for like 2 hours and did an entire episode about his career. And because he actually liked doing the podcast, Rob reached out to him because I reached out to Rob separately. I knew Rob had worked with Mark, but I just reached out because I've been a huge fan of Rob since Exit Calm. And went back and listened to Lice Asleep and all that. And it's just, I love his sound. So I reached out to him, and he reached out to Mark Lanegan because he found out I may have mentioned that Mark did the podcast or something. I don't know, but he reached out to Mark, and Mark said, yeah, it was fine. It's, he's decent guy. You go ahead and do the podcast. And Rob said yours was like one of 2 podcasts that I did at that time because the label wanted him to do some. So he said I did 2, yours and one other else. And I'm like, that to me, that's just, I don't know. That makes me feel like, hey, maybe I'm not wasting my time doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that's one reason why I can talk to you a little bit easier with some of the struggles that you've gone through with your own self-confidence, because I have that too. But because of Mark's endorsement of the podcast, Rob did it, and Rob and I have stayed in touch on a regular basis ever since he did the podcast a few years ago. So and then that's a very long way of saying I feel very connected to his music and the new album in particular, and now the live band, because I got a chance to shoot a couple of the shows, and it's just, I don't know. It was like I said, it was very impactful for me. So I want to thank you for what you did on stage with the music, because it transformed the music. I mean, it sounded like definitely was humanist, but it was more. I don't even really know how to explain it. It's different hearing songs live. That's why I love going to shows. And you guys just breathed a whole new life into the songs for me.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
And for
Thank you.
Everybody that I spoke to after the show. So it was amazing. Did you guys, the band, did you have any input into the set list when you guys were creating the show? Or did Rob come and say, all right, well, I want to do these songs and let's learn these?
We discussed it a little bit. I mean, he always has a really strong idea. You know, Rob usually has a strong idea of what he wants to do, but yeah. I think we all, after we played enough to know at that point, I think all of us what we wanted to do for that. And he obviously had the same considerations, like, okay, we're playing for BRNC folks who haven't seen them in a long time. They're probably going to just fucking boo us off immediately. They're just going to be like... So we tried to make choices that were appropriate for that audience. And I think they seemed pretty okay with those choices.
I was.
Yeah.
I was pretty okay with them, for sure.
There were things, though, that I wanted to play one of the newer songs that's on the deluxe version.
Oh, what one was that? What did you want to play?
It's called No Regrets. Oh, that's going to be good live. That's going to be real good. Probably I'll sing for that, and Rob too. I'm trying to convince Rob to sing. He's a great singer.
He really is. He puts himself down, but he's great.
Yeah. The songs that he sings have a real uniqueness, you know?
Yeah.
And they're my favorite. Well, I love most of the songs on these albums, but those are the standouts for me. But anyway, we'll see how far I can get in my campaign to convince him to start singing live.
So you did one of the remixes off the remastered. You did an amazing version of "Love You More," which I love. Isabel Campbell. Her voice there's just something so comforting about her voice.
Yeah,
you did this like awesome, like super like sexy version of that song. Did you do that because of playing in the band, or did Rob approach you before putting the live band together?
No, that was since playing.
Okay.
More recently, and I'm just trying to think if he asked me specifically for that, or if I think he said, would you be interested in doing a remix? And I was like, yeah. And I thought I'd like to remix that.
Okay.
And then that was the one he asked me to do. That I love the most about that song, and I just wanted to really bring them forward, and then it was so hypnotic. I just took, and I thought, I just thought I'm going to do something crazy and daring, which is like leave out most of his guitars.
Yeah.
Because the other elements, they were just, I wanted to make something hypnotic and a little bit more, I don't know, low key. You know, so I thought, and I started listening to those elements, and I was like, I'm feeling Spaceman 3 here, you know, and I kind of thought, oh, okay, yeah. So, but, you know, it's not as heavy as Spaceman 3, but I really enjoyed doing that. I loved it. That's my first remix, really.
Oh, that's awesome. It's just one of the highlights of the deluxe version for me. Oh,
cool.
It really stood out for me because it's a little bit different. And like you said, I know this as Rob's project, so it's guitar heavy. So when that's missing, it really registers. I'm like, this is different. This is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm glad you like it.
So I know I have kept you for quite a long time. So I promise we'll wrap up here. What do you have going on now? What's in the future for you? We have more music coming out. Now you said you got a bunch of albums to work on. The Doodle wants you to finish.
Doodle is really demanding. You have no idea. So I have a finished album of some ambient and strange instrumental music.
Ooh.
But I think I should probably put out something else until I completely scare everybody away. So I'm working. I've got an EP, which is like, it's more the way there than anything else. And then I've got a full album that I'm working on, and it's just, finding the time to do it is really frustrating. I want to sit down and do it 24/7, and I just, right now, the way things are, it's a strange time, and life is very expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's also stressful, and I'm not I need to kind of be in a headspace where I can be still and quiet and allow things to come. And I struggle these days to find that space. So, but now that Humanist is probably going to be on hiatus for a little while, I think that I will be able to find that time, because I'll have to keep up my regular work, and then the dog thing, and then I'll get into a groove with my schedule. That's how I've done the last couple things. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I did some songs with Rich from We Fell to Earth. So that's the EP I've been working on. And
awesome.
Basically it's a continuation from We Fell to Earth. It's just, I'm just releasing it. So
okay, cool.
I'm really, excited to get that out, and then kind of like close the book there, officially. And then I've got this record I've just been chipping away at for a long time. And so there's a lot of stuff. And then there's this finish thing, which I just don't want to, like I said, I don't think it's a good idea to put it out next. So there's lots of stuff. I need to find a way to stay up and not sleep. But I do actually need a little bit of sleep. So
I know that feeling as well.
Coming. Yeah. I know you've told me you sounds like your life is very similar. It's going for my master's degree, full-time job, 3 kids, all in college age, podcast, and music photography. So but it's fun. I'll sleep later. Yeah, so. I hear you. I feel the same. But I tell you what, I'm not. As the years pass, I start to realize the importance of sleep. But
then I end up actually sleeping less. Because for some reason, I'll work until like 11, 12 on either schoolwork or editing a podcast or photos. And then I'll end up waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I don't want to. I'm in my early 50s.
Yeah.
I just end up doing it now.
Yeah, I know. When you have a lot of ideas and creativity just bursts into get out, it tends to keep you up.
It does. That must be what it is.
Yeah.
Well, do you have an anticipated release year for what's coming up next?
Well, I'd really hope to put that EP out before the BRNC tour. That's not happened. So I'm aiming for summer for the EP.
Okay, awesome.
And hopefully maybe like autumn or winter for the record. But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it's a tumultuous time. And I need to also feel very grounded and in a really comfortable place when I'm working. And I'm about to have to move again.
Oh, no.
that throws a little bit of a spanner in the works. But the thing about it is, like I said to you previously, I had a time where I couldn't really think about working on my own music in the recent past. And that's past, and I think about it constantly now. So that tells me that I will find a groove, I will find the space, and I will make it happen.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, I really do look forward to delivering some more things. So, yeah, thanks for asking.
Oh, of course. So what's the best way for people to follow your work and find out more information about what you've already released and the upcoming releases?
Yeah. Well, right now, I'm using Instagram. I'm really bad about this, but I use Instagram more than any of the other platforms to try and communicate with people that like my music.
Okay.
I want to find another way to deliver my work. I just don't like what's going on right now. And I'm not going to go into it because everybody knows, you know.
Yeah.
But I've removed my music. I have taken my music down from some of the streaming platforms. And I'm in the process of kind of, you know, finding a new way. Bandcamp, I'm there. I'm doing that. Good. And I want to do physical. I really want to do some pressings of whatever I do next, but
oh yes,
we'll see. You know, I just need I need help with the label, and I need, actually, it all depends on what comes financially and as to whether I do physical or not, but I think that I really want to be able to offer that, and I want it to be done in the most ethical way possible. So I'm just, everybody, I hope, can stay in touch through Instagram or Facebook, and whilst I figure this stuff out and finish. But
well, I like hearing physical product, because that's my wall of CDs.
Yeah, so, I love it.
And then I've got some over here. I've got some on the ground over there. I've got some over there. And a few over there.
So. Like to see.
So I love physical product. What is the best way? What's your Instagram handle? How can people find you and keep in touch with you?
Hang on. WRF Music. Let me look. I don't even know. This is what I'm like. Jesus. I actually have a website, which I wish is how people would get in touch with me.
Well, yeah, we can do that too.
I've got a website. It's Wendy Rae Fowler Official, and it's got all my social media and all that on there. So I'm so lucky someone put a lot of time into helping me with that. But Instagram, let me see. It just says, I don't even know how do you know what your handle is?
I'm looking up at the top. I think it's just Wendy Rae Fowler. One word.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Great.
Look for a really cool WRF logo.
Yes.
If you see that, that's the right one.
I'd much rather go by WRF, because Wendy Rae Fowler is a mouthful and it doesn't have much of a ring to it.
I don't know.
One day, maybe.
I'm in Virginia. I lived in Alabama for a decade. I kind of like Wendy Rae.
Okay.
I kind of grew up and stuff like that. But I totally understand trying to make it a little more succinct, too.
Yeah. It fits better into the artwork as well. For God's sake, trying to work with that name it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, my entire name is 8 letters long, and one of them comes up twice. So
Andy.
I'm just more.She. That's it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for spending so much time with me. I know we went pretty deep, and I've kept you like so long. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me onto your podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for the amazing music. I cannot wait to hear what comes out next. I'm so excited to see what you release.
Oh, thanks, Mark. And I hope I can provide something soon for you. Please hang in there and wait for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't care what you did so long.